Can you hear me? Wow, I feel like I'm doing a bad infomercial with this set. Wow, this is kind of awkward for somebody. All good? Yeah, this is... Okay, that's not as much as a call center vibe as before. If you try turning it on and back off again. All right, so can y'all hear me? All right, thank you for being patient with this. So we're going to talk about hacking remote interviews. They suck. Are being recorded? Yes, there's a big surveillance camera there. All right, so we're not talking about, loading a rootkit on there and actually getting access to the other person's drive. We're talking about doing things to make it a little bit better, to give yourself just 1% more advantage when you're interviewing. There's some things well out of your control. My name's Will Baggett, Director of Digital Forensics, Operation Safe Escape. It's a volunteer organization. We help domestic abuse survivors get digitally detached from their abusers, whether that's getting to a safe house or finding evidence on the phone that, yes, you've been stalked, they've got stalkerware on your phone. That's the fun job. I think I'm being recorded, so I'm not going to say where I work. I'm currently doing cyber threat intelligence leadership at a financial company that's not in Charlotte. Before that, I was doing insider threat digital forensics for Accenture during the pandemic. One of my clients was Pfizer. Before that, CIA for a long time, trained NATO special forces over in Belgium on cyber stuff. And I left the government right before the pandemic, so I got to experience a couple of rounds of layoffs during the pandemic living down in Tega Cay, which is always fun, which is the epicenter of technical jobs in the world. It's not. So one of the locals, Joe Hudson, he used to be at HuntSource, now he's with one of the training companies. He said, when you interview for a remote job, you're demonstrating your ability to work remotely. I don't think any of us that are local want to deal with going on I-85, 45, going back downtown, fighting for parking if we don't have to do that again. Especially with the Linux crowd, there's really no reason to go downtown to maintain a server when you can do that from home. One thing to remember, this is a hard truth. When I was at CIA, my students at NATO Special Forces said the same thing. Every job's temporary. When you've got the cool job, the one that's great, you don't want to think about the next thing that's coming. You don't think about what's coming next, but every job is going to end. You're either going to retire, get promoted, move to another company, get laid off, but that role is temporary. So you've got to prepare for your next role when you've still got it, because unlike, leaving Charlotte Airport and going to Atlanta, you're pretty much guaranteed when you take off from point A to point B in commercial air, you're going to get there, Spirit Air notwithstanding. This is more of a military thing where you don't know when you're jumping out of the plane, you've got your parachute just in case. I hate to say it, I've still got a good resume. I think I'm in a good place where I am. However, an email tomorrow, one random Teams message, and you're back on the market. Another thing to keep in mind here, has anyone in the group read Zen in the Martial Arts? This is a bunch of short stories about Bruce Lee's time training in martial arts with the people that were around him. One of the stories in there was about one of his Bruce Lee's sparring partners. All right, we'll get to your point. What has that got to do with technical things? Bear with me. He said, I'm having trouble with this guy in tennis. You can tell it's a book in the 70s because not many people play tennis now, but this guy is so much better than me. Every time he's always one step ahead, one shot ahead. He's always setting me up. What can I do to make him better? And Bruce Lee's mentor said, how can you shorten his line? The guy got up, drew marks on it, cut it in half, tried to erase it. He said the best way to make his line shorter is to make your line longer. You've got to get better. You can't do anything about Workday, retype your application. The job they say is remote when it's actually 4 days on site in Poughkeepsie, New York, and you get 1 day remote. That's not remote. So the way to get better at remote interviews is to improve what you can. So breaking this down, a little bit of a roadmap, you want to control the environment just like pretty much anything. Control the environment. You want to minimize your interruptions and maximize your advantages. That seems really simple. I know that. Again, this isn't the hardcore technical talk on graphene. I need to stop going back to the apology for that. But this isn't the most technical talk, but when you're looking for work, a lot of the basics are forgotten. So the very first thing before you even get to the interview stage, when I left CIA, we had a approved resume they gave us. It took forever to get approved. You had this one file. That's what you could legally submit to say this is the job duties you had. I wasn't getting anything. No hits. Just out of frustration, I copied it because it was a Word doc, and I don't do Windows. Copied it, pasted it in a notepad, and saw that the PDF, in addition to being a document, which is okay, also, you can turn it into a malware, you can turn it into a hidden exe file. There's a lot of cool stuff you can find from a POC or a GTFO. That's got 1,000 ways to abuse a PDF. They're terrible for actually conveying the data. All of my took 9 months to get approved. The entire resume was seen in Word in a notepad as just one giant block of text. That's why I wasn't getting calls, because it looked like I just had a cat sitting on the keyboard. So from hard experience learned, this is the first thing. Make sure what you're submitting actually looks like what they're expecting to get. It might be a fantastic looking PDF. A friend, she was laid off as a corporate trainer. She sent me a resume. Her resume was just a giant graphic. It looked fantastic. But when you do this to get uploaded to Workday, to actually get the first step before you even get the interview, she wasn't getting anything. Once she changed that format, she began getting a lot of calls. So controlling the environment. You're at home, somewhere, we're just going to say generically home. But this is your place. This isn't anything to do with Bank of America, Truist, whoever. You're going to control what you can. And from that, we're going to break it down to three things. The router. I've lived in Tega Cay since 2007. How many of y'all are actually local to the area? A few? Forgive me, but any Comporium users? They're the monopoly down in York County, South Carolina. They are the only internet service, so you have two flavors, take it or leave it. My router had not been updated my infrastructure hadn't been updated since 2007. I'll get more on that later. We're going to remove the rogue devices from your network and PTPuff, put the props up front. So here, I like the coffee mug, but it's a blacklight coffee mug, which used to be the premier iOS Mac forensic company. Their founder used to be head of security for Apple. So if I'm interviewing for an iOS forensic position, I'm definitely having this because it shows I've got experience in the field. It shows I've got the company, even though they've been bought out by Cellebrite for $30,000 a year for a license. Yeah. Anyway, I would have my prop up front of just showing that I've got a little bit more familiarity with the field than just showing up in suit and tie or random black polo shirt. So infrastructure, test your bandwidth speed. Okay, you've gotten laid off, you're looking for new work, pissed off by your boss, whatever. But check your bandwidth speed, because it might work fine for Teams, it might work fine for whatever you're doing, but when you get to the more bandwidth-intensive video interviews, you want to make sure you're able to support that so you're not breaking up. You don't look like Max Headroom or a YouTube video from 2005. One thing we learned with Operation Safe Escape that was also replicated down in with some users on Xfinity is the high security settings for routers will block the VoIP video traffic by default, which is completely terrible. So when you're completely off the grid, it's like being in airplane mode on some of these secondary applications. It's Safe Escape. People would say, oh, my ex has blocked me. I can't communicate with anyone when I'm at home. Once we learned the common denominator for this, a lot of the stalking cases drop because it's just Xfinity's default router setup. So this is definitely something you'll want to test the connection before your interview. You might be able to use Zoom, but now that you're at home instead of in the office, Zoom's blocked by default, because they might be able to see you, but if they can't hear you, they won't hire you. That's a hard lesson to learn, but with the economy the way it is, the mass number of layoffs, you've got to have everything for your advantage that you can possibly do. This is a little bit extreme, but it works. Disconnect all the connected devices in your residence except your smartphone and your laptop. And even then, when it's time for your interview, assuming it's a video interview, phone goes in airplane mode. So even on those, if it's an audio call, cool. If it's a video call, have everything disabled except for what you need. You don't want to have the multi-kernel you don't want to have the processor sharing time between your VoIP app, WhatsApp, Signal, Slack, Teams, all the myriad of communication programs. They're all sharing the access to the mic, especially on an iOS device. Have only device you need, so you've got a little bit audio quality for that. This was a hard lesson learned. It's not meant to be a kind of joke. I was doing a remote interview for a SOC leadership role where it'd be remote VIP SOC or VIP monitoring, but they'd be tied into our endpoint software, and we'd do concierge level management for the VIPs. It's when Black Ops 3 decided to pull a giant download for some new map. My bandwidth dropped to point something. Didn't get the job. It's okay. I didn't want to be on call 24/7. But had I just literally disconnected the PlayStation to have a little bit better bandwidth during that 20-minute phone call, I would have had a job probably 6 months sooner. This goes back to what I was saying about Xfinity or Comporium. I hadn't thought about upgrading my infrastructure at home. I just hadn't. I'm being dead honest here. I saw that I was getting, I think, 5 or 6 meg down and 0.25 up, which is close to dial-up speed, dating myself here. Called the cable company, called Comporium down in South Carolina. They said, we can't even see your router. They upgraded everything. Now I'm back in the land of normalcy, which is why I should be paying for these prices. But little things like this, you're not thinking about, you're, again, going back to worst case, you're laid off, you're panicked, you're not thinking about your infrastructure of your home. I totally get that. That's why this is in the presentation for, oh yeah, this is something I need to check because things are shaky at work. Let me get this augmented before I get that phone call. If you think you've got everything disconnected, some people just deep dive completely in that smart house where everything's online. Other people, probably more in this group, don't have much at all online at all. Like your refrigerator's not connected, your toaster's not connected, your toothbrush isn't connected to remind you to get more toothpaste every 3 months. You don't have all these ancillary devices, but still go to your router, see what else is out there, because that 20 minutes when you're online to get past that first screening, if I said you'll get $100,000 if you can live without your Amazon Dot, most people would do that. So, we're establishing a very hardcore baseline here, but you want to have every advantage you can. I can't talk about every router up there. Sounds like I'm used to dealing with legal. I am. Part 2 is you don't want to assume. Charge your phone before your phone call. If you use something like a Signal or a Wicker app, the most secure, what I've seen is the most secure app out there forensically. It drains your battery, the encryption though. Same for the laptop. First thing I did was look for a power outlet because as much as I love this Mac, I forgot to, when I got laid off, I forgot to return it. It's mine now. The battery sucks. So I made sure that I got plugged in because I wouldn't want to be up here running off this battery with a light like that and it go dark. Same thing for a remote interview. You don't want to assume you're going to be okay. The next one's from my son. He graduated, interviewing for a nuclear engineering role. Forgot to charge his AirPods. He said, in his terms, he's biased, gave a fantastic answer about a nuclear regulatory issue. His iPods had died, so all they saw. So again, the basics, but again, I promise I'm not going to apologize a million times over. I'd rather show you how to extract the flight log from the secondary USB or the secondary SD chip on the drone. There's a second SD card underneath the drone on the bottom level. That's like the black box. Nobody knows is there. It records the altitude GPS. It records the battery drain, and there's a very specific spot where you can look and see where the XY axis and power drop have a specific change, and that's where the drone will drop ordnance. I'd much rather talk about that than how to get a job. That's far more fun. But again, this is the break glass, oh crap, I need a job. Putting the props up front, old CIA acronym, people see what you expect. So I've got the traditional cyber instructor role, the khakis, the black polo, it fits. I'm not appearing in a suit. That's an automatic turnoff for this audience, whether it's If you're interviewing as an insider threat analyst, this is probably okay. If you're going for a leadership role, maybe suit and tie, I don't know. But you want to look like you're part of the role. I interviewed with one company a while back here in Charlotte. I had my suit and tie on, video interview, and the guy was still in bed, had Mr. Bigglesworth, his cat, on his bed while he's like, this is not a professional outfit. This is, I don't know what this is, but no. For you, I couldn't help what he did, but for me, it was, I showed up, I'm professional. If you've got your certifications for whatever vendor in the background, maybe have that in the back of your office, maybe on the bookshelf, I don't know, but at least have something more if you want to. My phone's up and away. Once I left that skiff life, and I could actually have my phone in my hand as opposed to touch it between the after 5 o'clock to 8 a.m. in the morning, I can have my phone with me all the time. A lot of people who've left the classified life are the same way. And I've learned the hard way, my phone's up. Because if you have your phone out, I don't know when we all agreed on this, but when you get your phone out, it's like a contagion. We all, like yawning, we all start looking at our phones. You don't want to break that rapport you've got with your interviewer. Phone's up and away, it's showing the time only, but it's not that you're sitting there fiddling all the time. If you're not paying attention to them, why should they pay attention to you? Whether it's a corporate interview, where we've had this with red teams, and we can see that they're using Slack, their version of Slack needs to be updated. All the things I would need to go in as an attacker, they're giving away from their screen. Same thing, we don't need to hear honestly, I don't want to hear your Tinder, your Hinge, all your other alerts, because when you hear the alert, it makes them think, was that my phone? They've lost that focus on you. And if I said, you can update your Android phone, do you want to bet $100,000 your update's going to go through? You would say, no, right? If I said, you've got an interview with Google in an hour, it's a $100,000 job, do you want to try to update your phone before your interview and risk that $100,000 salary? Or do you want to wait till after the interview, because you might be on a target desk for a Conti, they might want to hit you with ransomware, the NGO Pegasus spyware might have you as a target for the zero-click malware, but probably not. You can probably wait till your interview's over to patch your device. That's the smarter call. We had one gentleman, Australian, so he loved his beer, but he updated his laptop. He flew into Brussels from Australia to teach drone forensics. Updated his laptop the night before his talk. Laptop was bricked. So I ended up carrying the course for the week and teaching it for him. I learned a lot. That was a lot of fun. But had he just waited till after the week to deliver his training that he flew all the way from Australia for, he had probably gotten another contract. The job would have been reviewed. He wouldn't be considered unreliable because he just updated software. Nothing he did wrong, but that perception is reality of he's not reliable now falls him in that schoolhouse because of a bad update. Same for you can wait. Just get your interview, get the next one scheduled, then update your devices. Video templates, this again, a new thing. I absolutely hate being on video for anything, period. One thing over time I've learned is having a background is a lot better than just having, where I live, I've got a lot of windows, I'm out in the woods, I've got deer that come by, that's cool, but when you've got glass and they can see the reflection, they can see the back half of you, they can see the things around you, they can see your home environment. They're not paying attention to you, they're looking at the background just like you were doing to them. So my friend Wes is interviewing with A&E as a digital archive manager for the metadata for stuff. The library would be appropriate for him. It's a librarian role. If he was interviewing with Universal Studios, the other might be a little bit more fun. Hey, I get your product. SpongeBob is one of the Universals. Sure, that works. But you don't want to go in and have your background as the focus of their attention. Keep it professional, keep it relevant. You don't want to be too fun for this. This is a job interview, not a meme. You don't want this uploaded on 9gag later on what not to do. Next thing, you want to prepare your laptop. All the browsers, even Edge, Internet Explorer, whatever. You want to meet them on their platform. I may not like anything with Windows. I mentioned that already. I would say that at any conference, not just a Linux conference. But if they're telling me I've got to use Blue Jeans from Verizon to meet with them or Amazon Chime to meet with Amazon, I'm going to load it because I want to interview for the company. My morals, I don't care. It's another video app. I'm not going to use it forever. It's just for a meeting. And make sure you uninstall it. Second thing is the clean desktop policy. We've all seen the memes where the professors, or the teachers online looking at inappropriate material. It's set up there and the students are laughing about it. Don't be that guy. Another thing, I don't have to read. I hate it when people do that to me. But regardless of manufacturing, there's always a yeah, but what about? Generally, most manufacturers are going to get the cheapest camera, cheapest microphone, and cheapest speakers that you can possibly tolerate for the better profit margin. They're not here to make you an AV superstar. They're just there to sell another laptop. So even a $10 microphone is better than what's built in. Same for this headphones and speakers. If that's in the budget, realize if you're looking for a job, it may not be in the budget. But if the NCAA announcers, NFL announcers have a little bit better gear, you can do the same thing to secure a better professional job. The BlackBerry Z10 was the best quality phone on the market. It didn't play well with the Android or the Apple environment, so it never really took off. But the phone itself sounded like we're just sitting in the same room. If you can get that level of clarity, that's going to give your interviewer a good feeling that you're going to be able to keep this remote job and communicate clearly with the stakeholders. Another thing is this is your interview at your location, at your room. If your interview's at 5 p.m. in the winter and you know the sun comes in right at this angle at sunset, bounces off that mirror, and where you're sitting, you're going to squint the whole time. Move your laptop, close basic things, but think about when I'm interviewing, what's the lighting going to be like? Make this a studio production. If you've seen the TDE, the guys out of Raleigh, they've got professional setups for their training. You want to do the same thing. Another thing, this is a little bit more of the cheating, the hacking. I don't care. I want a job. IKEA has these, if you've seen this, they had this thing called the Corona pandemic for the past couple of years. I don't know if y'all heard about it. It's on the news. But they've got sneeze guards even at IKEA. They're just clear plexiglass that would go between students' desks. I wouldn't go that far. Put your laptop up to a wall. Have your sticky notes up and around of things you want to remember. Whether it's common port number questions, port 666 is for Doom. I don't know why I remember that, but there you go. There's your random fact for the day. If they have questions on time stopping or whatever, you can go to Glassdoor, you can go to Indeed and see the common questions people ask. Have those ready, because if you don't have a reflection behind you, they're not going to know the answer to their hard question is right here. Why not take advantage of your environment? If they're not, if they can't see you're cheating, why not? The interviewer probably doesn't know what they're asking anyway. I've had them tell me that, but I shouldn't say that. If you're going to go the suit or the polo up and just soccer shorts and Crocs on the back side, make sure your reflection doesn't show that. You want to speak at a regular speed. You don't, because when you get nervous, you talk fast. One of my friends, she gave a talk at ShmooCon on the lack of privacy in voting, because if you're a domestic abuse victim but you want to vote, you still have to register with the county, which puts in your true name, phone number, and email address, and true location. So even if you're trying to hide from a stalker, if you want to vote, your true name data is out there. She had an hour-long presentation, and she rocked that in 12 minutes. And it was the micro machines on caffeine. It was, you don't want to do that. Toddler model, brush and flush. If you think you got to go before the interview, because we're not calling TV timeout. Repeat the question if you need time. Talk show host Mark Levin will do that. He'll do that. And once you notice he does that, people see it and they focus on that verbal tick and not the content. So you can use that card once or twice maybe, but not throughout the entire interview, because then the focus again becomes on that. Turkish coffee. A friend had me put that in there. You just boil your grounds and drink the grounds and the coffee, so you get all this, you're hyper caffeinated and you've got the grounds in your teeth. Not a good look. Operational security details. Create an account just for interviews. Source, trust me on this. Shortest interview I had a SOC account for some political OSINT research for the NATO class. Signed on for the interview in whatever Microsoft Edge browser crap. And there's my SOC handle name. I hear the whole team laughing. I realize what's happened. And yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you. And that was that. Lesson learned. I screwed up on that. You're going to want to maybe get an email address just for the job process. Mail.com, y'all heard of that, M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E. Free email service. They've got roughly 200 different domains. They've got @engineer, @systemadmin, @cybersecurity professional. It's free. So I'm 10x@engineer.com. When they had that rash of recruiters looking for 10x engineers, like, huh. Instead of William_Baggett at rwgrantconsulting.com, 10x engineer. They remember that. Something short, memorable. Because anyone out here done OSINT? Open source intelligence? You can look for their standard questions online. I know when I've interviewed with Accenture for forensic roles, I did research on the candidate to see what I could find. OSINT's your frenemy. It can be your best friend. It can be the worst thing in the world. LinkedIn, LinkedIn's they've got their own Reddit group, Lunatics of LinkedIn. So it's basically, yes, I'm here. I'm a real person. I'm professional. And as long as you keep it tame and not the engaging content, you'll probably be okay. X1 Discovery, it's a OSINT program. It's about $2,000 a year, but it'll let you go in and plug anyone's user account number for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then it just scrapes the entire account, and you can search that. You would never even know someone's done a collection on you. Fantastic for HR cases, lawsuits, things like that. Makes you very, very sparse with what you put online. Another one, use this a lot, osintframework.com. We'll get to that. Another one, tinfoleak.com. tinfoleak, you go there to put in the Twitter handle name, put in your email address, and it gives you, I want to say either 100 or 3,000 of the last hits for that Twitter account. GPS locations, pictures. So if you can get that for free and get a quick snapshot of somebody, it's not hard to pivot to see how somebody would take your Twitter account and see what you've actually been saying and doing. So here, just to step through this quickly, osintframework.com, we go here, social media search engine, name checker, drop in your Twitter handle and see where else it populates. And then you can pivot just from that one account, from the one application, to see where else this candidate is, what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're truly like, to see if that's somebody you'd want to work with. Because I don't really want to deal with a boat rocker. I just want to work. I don't want to deal with all the extraneous stuff. I just want to go in and do my job, make life easy. I would look at yourself first, not telling them what you found, because it's probably going to be really embarrassing. But you can do that on yourself, but they could do that on candidates, so it's yin and yang. It's just the tool, so it could either be on the candidate, it could be on yourself, it could be on your... You just want to be cognizant of what's out there. We had a... downside is there's no clock. What time is it? I don't want... What time? 9:47. Thank you. Anybody from Bishop Fox in here? Cool. Yeah, Bishop Fox is doing a pen test on us. They accidentally tried to log in our domain with their short name. So he dropped that odd name into this. Found their Twitter handle. They were a pen tester for Bishop Fox. Found their, and they had retweeted a new Sliver SC or C2 tool from their lead developer. We pivoted over to that, got the full report, the IOCs, the TTPs, scraped that, give it over to our intrusion detection team. So because of one operational security blunder by a red team, we had their pen test shut down in about 30 minutes from detection to blocking. So even if you're doing pen tests, you want to watch your operational security, but especially if you're applying for jobs. Second one, email verification for haveibeenpwned.com. Put in your email, your phone number, and see all the leaks that are associated with it so you can see the types of things this person's working in or not working in. It's a good asset validation to see if they're really in that space or not. I'm limited by my time. We would teach digital force protection, cybersecurity. It's a week-long course. We don't have 40 hours. I barely have an hour here, so I moved what I would have suggested because if I left it in there, everyone's heads are going to go down to your phone, and you'll get the payoff at the end here. Next thing is hydration. You have a glass of water. Yeah, this is very, very basic. Glass of water beside your laptop. The second one back here out of sight. And a glass because this is a bottle of water from Walmart, and they've been getting cost efficient. So you've got this bottle of water. You're assuming this is not going to fall. It's not going to collapse. You're out of a job, looking for work. 12-cent bottle of water, $2,000 laptop. You're going to assume this is going to stay upright, not fall over and destroy your laptop. Glass is going to be better because also your leadership. You think about England, the royalty over there, presidents here. They're always drinking out of a glass. It's a little bit more of an executive look than just a bottle of water. Also, I know that tomorrow when I log on, I'm going to do 8 hours of research comparing Quackbot to Picobot for our intrusion detection team. I'm probably not going to speak to anybody for at least 8 hours. I'm just going to be writing and researching. Glad to have a job, but definitely not this level of social interaction I'm used to. So when I do an interview, I'm going to talk more in that 1 hour than I do usually all day. Now, I've learned that having water, not having my coffee up here, but that's probably going to help you because this
laid out tonight. The choice isn't just between big government or big business.
It just doesn't look compared to what it could be. To all the little things of, yes, I'm interviewing for a senior position, executive customer-facing role. I've got a little bit more polish than just the guy with his... Again, you want to keep the focus on you, not distracting from your behavior. This morning, this was not on purpose, but confirm your meeting time, your meeting location. I've had, I'm not going to name companies, but, we'll meet at 9. Oh, East Coast? I'm in Johannesburg, 9 p.m. my time. Oh, well, that would have been good to lead with. You can't say that because you want to be polite. But you want to assume you've got the right time zone. Confirm the role. From what you see on Reddit anti-work, Reddit career advice, there's a lot of bait and switch for roles. They want you as a senior developer, and they'll offer you a junior sysadmin role or help desk role. Oh, yeah, there's a paperwork. Well, we'll get it sorted out after you start the role. Yep. So, yeah, we're interviewing for the SOC lead tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I will see you then. If we get cut off during our interview for any reason, I'll call you back. I'll meet you back here if I lose connectivity. But you show them you've got the plan to recontact. Don't wait for them to offer. Take control and tell them when you're going to get back in touch with them. Excuse me. Language coming out of... Oh, man, this is awkward having a headset. Coming out of the intelligence military background, language is there. The universal adjective is a very common thing, but it probably shouldn't be used in a job interview, especially in 2023 with people getting hurt feelings over a lot of things, so keep your language very clean. Colloquialisms, regional phrases, obscure references. That was one of the things they taught us for dealing with foreign assets was English is their second, third, fourth, fifth language. You may only speak English. Keep it at a level that they'll understand. Words mean things differently depending on where you are. I think it's Australia, yeah, no means no, but no, yeah means yes. Even though it sounds basically the same, you have to understand the region from where you are. So please don't walk out after this. Where to focus. You want to maintain eye contact. Because when you're looking at the screen, you're looking at the other person, and that camera is right here getting your forehead in all of its glory. So remember, you want to look at the little green dot on your camera, make eye contact with the dot. It's really unnatural. NVIDIA has a app that'll make your eyes focus, which is also creepy. But it takes practice to keep that eye contact with them and not just look at your handsome self down there. Yeah. No, you need to keep eye contact with them. Yes?
My sister, she was studying for medical residency. She came up with a great idea. She put the camera in the middle of the screen. So she manipulated the tape.
That's a good idea.
She got to look at them and like peripherally while
That's a really good idea. Put the camera in the middle of the screen, if you can do it. All right, remember the cringe part? The obscure references? Where do you look? Well, think about Warner Brothers. If you're not looking at dot when you yakko, you're wacko. It's a very specific subset. You're going to remember it. The point comes across, but somebody who's never seen that cartoon from the mid-90s, probably missing the core. You're probably missing your message here. So building rapport, that meant just trying to find common ground and making it seem natural. The gentleman that hired me had this giant poster up in his office. Excuse me. We started talking about this for the first 15 minutes of the interview. Really want to date myself and go back to obscure references. Anybody remember why this movie was so horrific? Why? Not just Optimus Prime, but freaking everybody. They killed off the original core group of Transformers the first 10 minutes of the movie. You've got a kids movie. And they just flat out killed everyone that you've been watching for years to introduce the new characters, because this is also, oh, by the way, sponsored by Hasbro. And all the new toys are available at Toys R Us. But you're 10 years old, all of your heroes get killed. Oh, you saw that in the theater? And that's something, they would never do that now. Now you're talking, you're meeting them on a personal level, not a professional level. Your SAN certifications, your favorite Linux distribution, that's gone. You guys are just two people talking about something you both love. Do you really love it? I haven't watched the movie. I saw it once. It's all right. But I can talk the heck out of it for an hour to get a job. There's a whole art to negotiating salary. But very simple. For those of y'all staying here, if the front desk said your room is going to be between $15 a night and $500 a night, who's going to pay $15? Well, if you're looking for a job, and well, what's your salary range? I'm looking between, and you give a low number to a high number. Everything after, gone. Oh, you'll take 100? You're getting 100. But if you say, oh, I'm looking for the neighborhood of 150, well, the best they can do is 130. Well, you're still $30,000 higher than your original lowball of yourself of 100,000. They think they're lowballing you. It's a negotiation. It's an art. Sorry. Mouth's getting dry from all the talking. The other thing is, if you don't ask, it's already a no. So the awkward questions and silences are where money's found. I've researched the market. An average rate competitive salary is this. In silence, let them say the next thing. If there's any balking, you have to think about it. That's again, whole different class. Other things you can negotiate are, my previous job, I get 6 weeks off a year. This one only has 3. Can we make this 5? On one question, you might have just got yourself 2 more weeks of leave that you wouldn't have had before. All they can do is say no. Because, again, the core mission is to get a job. Days off are nice. You need a lot of days off, but paying the bills first, and then we'll recover from the main issue. A lot of the common questions, I'm not going to sit here and read them to you. That one, I'm not just pandering to the crowd here. That was something that DigitalOcean asked me several times about my favorite Linux distributions. They're looking for how you handle things. Tell me about a time you disagreed with management. How do you handle conflict? That's what they're looking for. It's basic human questions. Bottom one is from my son. I'm giving him credit. He said, Dad, the only time I used my phone, I had a copy of my resume. I had the title, Will Baggett's Resume. And then someone on the call said, I need a copy of your resume, type in the address, send it, phone goes back down. You're prepared, you're ready, but you're not fidgeting on your phone playing Angry Birds or whatever. Elicitation into social engineering. This one, if you're king, queen, in charge for a day, what would you change? If you had an unlimited budget, what would you do first? Oh, I would take advanced battlefield forensic training from SANS. There's a weaponizing PDF conference over in Amsterdam. I'd love to go to that. I'd like to get a better processor for ingestion of these. Your mind is there. Or, man, I'd like to get a new music set up so I can play Freebird a little bit louder when I'm imaging. Like, really? Like, you're... Okay. I agree with that. It's not the answer I was going for, but okay, that's it. You want to show you're in the field. You want to show you're professional where your mind is. I can't believe this actually works so well, but tell me about the areas of your job that you can't discuss, so I won't bring them up. It seems so obvious, but people, oh, okay, well, I'm working on this, and like, no, I don't really want that. I would teach that's something we had at tradecraft training, and that works so well in the real world. I wouldn't say bring it up here, not for the interview, but just be aware that you've got to be cognizant of what you give away. You don't want to, if you're still in a role, you don't want to violate your NDAs or the truly secret data for your job. So the STAR framework, situation, task, action, result, the one that I've used a few times. We had a formal request. A cable came in. They asked for a city in Africa. They asked for a thing to be done on a very short notice, a collection opportunity. The cable came in. The branch chief said, can we accomplish this? So I divided half my team. Can we technically do it? And then can we get there? The can we do it was absolutely we can do it. Then can we get there? By law, whether you're a diplomat, tourist, as if you're not a native to this country, it takes 30 days minimum to process your visa. So regardless of how immediate this cable is, they need us there tomorrow to collect this high-level intelligence. We can't get in the country, no matter what we do, unless we break the law and are airdropped in, which we don't do that because liability. It's not humanly possible. Okay. So the compromise was we can teach the people on the ground there to get this, they'll get 90% of the collection versus having us travel in to collect 100%, but we can do it. So 90% is better than zero. So we satisfied the end client, we satisfied the collection result, and we complied with international law for espionage, which is hard, but we did it. So that's a short, easy example of here's something that happened, here's how I fixed it. Pivoting an answer, way back right out of college, we were on OS2 Warp, really dating myself, but I was working for SunTrust, doing sales, But this is what the loan insurance people taught. It stuck. Like 30 years later, here I am, and still remember it. I used to feel like getting loan insurance wasn't worth it. It's not. All you're doing is you're paying the bank to not come after you if you have an issue. So you're paying additional money to make sure that your loan's covered. I used to feel loan insurance was a bad allocation of resources, and I felt that way for a long time. But once I had a client come in, he had a horrific accident on the job site. He was able to keep his whatever. Once he was able to get back to work, this acted as a short-term disability payment, if you will, that kept his truck in his driveway instead of being repossessed. And we found this is one of the better things we can offer. Complete crap. But the feel, felt, found shows how you can change your mind about something and come back to a different conclusion, whether or not you believe it. Another thing, your questions are a reflection of you, of where your mind is. How can I help the team? What I need to do? What software do I use for this task? Some of this, you're not really eliciting for red flags in the forensic world. What software suite are you using X-ways? Are you using paraben? You know, some of the more esoteric toolkits. I need to get smart on these before I start my first day here. One, I won't name the company because it's terrible. We only use one forensic package because we don't want to waste the money. No, 2 is 1, 1 is none. If I don't have a secondary validation of my findings, and it does go before court because y'all are a multi-billion-dollar company, if I can't validate that this thing happened this way and multiple packages confirm it, then this can be removed from court as speculation. All my work is gone. If you're not using 2, which is industry standard, I don't know if I want to work here and have my name on an affidavit and be legally liable because y'all want to save $10,000 a year. Another one, a little bit of jujitsu. Why are you hiring for this role? The red flags, we can't find anyone who can handle our work pace. We're looking for a unicorn. Translation, they can't keep anybody because they're redacted words here. Or we're growing, we've had a merger. We just merged with Fifth Third Bank in Charlotte. We're expanding regionally. Our insider threat team has really grown with the capabilities we've got, and that's why we're moving out. So that's going to give you a green flag, red flag for the company you're talking to. Who do I engage with daily? That's also kind of a key thing. Okay, I'm doing threat intelligence. I'm writing these reports. They're going on a Confluence page. Who's reading them? Oh, nobody. Well, I can do nothing, and if nobody's going to read it, and y'all can pay me all the same. But what am I going to do day to day? That's a key thing to know before you get into the job. You want to ask about the onboarding process. Again, this is you validating them. Before I left SunTrust and start first day at CIA, one of my coworkers there, he's a former Army cryptos custodian, and we're talking, and he said, don't worry about it. They're going to train you on what you need to know. You can't go to Staples and get human operations for dummies. They probably don't sell that. They're going to teach you everything you need to learn on that specific job. If you come in, his key point, if you come in and know all of our processes and how we do everything the first day, you're not an asset, you're a threat. Where did you learn this? This is classified. So you've got to learn how things work. It's okay to be new and ask questions. I kind of want to put in as having worked insider threat. You want to be new and ask questions, but you don't want to just go click around on everything and look like there's a balance. Yes?
I find from my multiple jobs that I've had is you can know how to do things, but the important thing is to learn how to do the things here.
Right. Learn how to do the things here. It doesn't matter how you used to do it the previous job. We're in a different place now. And lastly, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. There's no onboarding knowledge transfer. The really bad questions, this is from Joe Hudson. Tell me about this role. What are we interviewing for? Dude, when can I take my first day off? Probably not the best thing. Another huge red flag, the skills assessment. Friend, he goes to a lot of regional conferences. He's not here, so they asked him to write a full Android-based app that can ping their satellites and give connectivity times and ping rates as part of his job interview. Like, yo, you're doing all this work and developing a full-blown app that's going to be completely functional for free $99, and you still don't have a job when you've delivered this. Don't think I like that. That's a major time sink. So be aware that the companies will use you. Yes?
So I have a rule, like a personal rule for this. If it takes more than 4 hours, I'll do it, but I demand compensation.
Yes. If it takes more than 4 hours, demand compensation. And let them know up front. Another one didn't add this in the slide deck is, I want to name names, Bank of America, but I'm not because I'm classy. I walked in for the interview and it was just like the Star Chamber. Like you walk in, you're on camera and there are 5 blank screens talking to you. Like y'all can't turn your cameras on, but you're watching me. This is like interrogation vibes. I'm not digging this. So, okay, it's over. This very high level review. If it went well, send a thank you note. If you flubbed something, hey, I confused HTTPS and HTTP ports. I just completely confused. What was it 80, 442? Should have caught that. If it's not a good fit, a contract company working for Apple, I'll freaking name it. Oh, you get 104 days off a year. Every Saturday and every Sunday. Oh, you also get federal days off. So I get Saturday, Sunday, and Christmas. No, no, this is not a job I want. You don't need anyone's permission to avoid a bad situation. If it's a bad fit, you don't have to go further in the process. You have the rights to opt out as well. If it didn't go well, if there are terrible questions of all flavors, don't jump on Reddit anti-work yet and post your story. Get the bag, get a job, then go on online and do it, because HR is a small world. Like attracts like. We're here. We like the same things. I just came back from Techno Forensic in Wilmington. It was all digital forensics. They do the same things. HR does the same thing. You don't want to burn the bridge. It's a small town. It's okay to say no. While I was getting this talk ready, the company reached out about a job. I'm in Tega Cay. Cost of living's pretty good down here. I'm doing my job remote, have been doing it remote for years. Half of my pay to be on site full time in New York City to do the exact same thing I'm doing now, but for one of the FANG companies. That was one of the first things. We need you to relocate to New York City, and here's our salary. Yeah, I appreciate it, but no, that's just not a good fit. You can be polite and kind because you don't know when you want to meet them again, but you don't have to go further down the process. Starting to wrap stuff up here. When all that's said and done, enable your device notifications when it's over. I'm going to turn my phone notifications back on. Take my phone out of airplane mode, same for my laptop, because that's happened to me a couple of times, enough to say I probably should put it in here. Remember, reconnect all those network devices, plug the PlayStation back in when it's over. It sucks, but there's a lot of advantages. You're not pressing your suit. You're not going downtown. You're not looking for parking. You just walk in front of your laptop for an interview. That's not bad, as kludgy as it might be. So here are the 4 key takeaways. Remove unnecessary devices from your network. Silence your alerts. Make eye contact with the camera. Remember your star model. And a little bit of bonus content from someone who worked the insider threat and seeing what a very stovepiped life that is. Don't search for devices from your corporate, search for new jobs from your corporate device. Just don't. It's logged. This banner, by God, it is real. I saw it every day logging in when I was at an official building. Everything's monitored. We thought that's just legalese. Oh my God, no. That's Splunk. I can see, which is the world's shortest software memory. Like, I can be really good in Splunk. To use it for 3 days, I forget everything. But we had a dashboard at Pfizer. We could see when you log in, we could see the badges, the doors, when you come and go from the building. We can see come in from the front door, when you go to the cafeteria. We can see all of that, where you're logging in from, the approximate geolocation. We can go into Office 365 compliance tenant. We can see all the Teams chat messages, all of your Outlook messages, to, from, draft. We can see if you're hitting private Gmail. Druva, instead of doing full dead box forensics, whereas before people would just send me an entire computer, image it. Now if I get a hit that John Doe in accounting is hitting Merck, he's hitting LinkedIn, and he sent a personal email with the words resume or acceptance letter. His machine's isolated. We're going through to see if he's staging data for exfiltration. You're now on a list of a possible insider threat flight risk. All because you had the keywords of resume, acceptance, interview, plus the traffic get from LinkedIn. That's enough to put you on the insider threat list. Even to the point where McAfee DLP, we could see everything you copied, everything you pasted, everything printed, every USB drive. So when that warning sign says everything is monitored, it really is. So you can wait till you get home. You might want to rage reply after a bad meeting, but do it on your personal device. To close it out, Last summer, I gave a talk at DEF CON. I've got my glass of water, power cord, and for the unfortunate audience, the camera. So I actually practice what I preach here. A little bit of the payoff, the OSINT exercise, not now, but I would have the troops just go on the unclassed machines, go on Twitter and search for my new debit card, my new credit card, my new passport, my new Visa application, my new CAT card. By God, the number, you would think the people wouldn't put this, but the sheep out there, the volume of personal information they just put on Twitter, it's overwhelming. So just to show, oh yeah, people wouldn't put anything truly personal. If you're working in privacy and compliance, to tie it all back together, we look at your Twitter account and then you're pulling up your new debit card. You may not be the best person for consumer security, compliance for my company, my coworker. I don't want to hear about it. I don't know if I want to work with somebody with that level of operational security. Last one. Gave this talk at B-Sides Vegas last summer